turning up on okay. Adam's turning up on Joe Budden.
I recently did a very, very controversial interview with Tasha K. Had a great conversation with her. At a certain point within the conversation, she informed me that she had just done Joe Budden as well while she was on her little tour. So I guess she did like a 2 or 3 hour interview with Joe Budden, and she was very happy about it. And then Joe decided that he wasn't going to release it. Her version of it was that Cardi B and Offset didn't want him to release it. His version of it was basically him saying that some of the things that she said in the interview could have got him sued or would ruin relationships or whatever, because she was talking all kinds of crazy shit. You could probably guess who she was talking shit about. She talks about Cardi B. She's very, very honest about that. She's not really backing down from any of the claims that she made about Cardi B throughout the lawsuit that Cardi had against her and everything like that. But Joe decided not to release his Tasha K interview because he is a corporate shill now and he listens to people who tell him not to drop the shit. I dropped the shit. I have not been sued yet. I have not actually even had any single person hit me up angry about the interview. Now, there's a chance that his interview was a little bit spicier than mine, but as a longtime JBP listener, that hurt. To be like, damn, so you really don't got the nuts to really just let that shit rock, right?
I seen you get on your gangster shit. Didn't they run down on him though? Didn't he already? He might be scared.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of got.
Might be spooked.
You got an idea of what Joe's character might have been like when you heard about the story, because when he first started doing Everyday Struggle, and that was like his first non-Joe Budden podcast thing. And at the time on the Joe Budden podcast, they weren't doing a ton of like rap news type shit. So at that time, all of a sudden he's talking crazy about Yachty on Everyday Struggle when it first started, like the first couple months or whatever. There was an episode where he was really going crazy on Yachty. And so then he sees some QC affiliates. I don't know if it was P or Coach K or some goons or whoever the fuck. He's seen him at like a mall or some shit. And they basically pressed Joe and told him, stop talking about Yachty. And his response, like from his own mouth, was basically like, all right, you got it. Like, I won't talk about him anymore, which to me is kind of crazy, because if you were letting your nuts hang on the podcast and being honest about not liking a rapper or not liking a person or whatever, and then somebody who's a big tough affiliate of that person can come up to you and have a sternly worded conversation basically telling you don't talk about that person anymore, and you just say okay, then what the fuck are you even getting on the mic and doing podcasts for in the first place? Like,
Adam's a little bit misinformed, though. So, I mean, his sentiment is right, that if you're getting bullied, if you could get bullied to not talk about somebody, what the fuck? What I would definitely say is that the reality of the Joe Budden and QC or the Yachty thing is that it wasn't criticisms towards Yachty. Yachty became a pseudonym for a whack rapper. So he was, anytime Joe wanted to say whack rapper, he would say Yachty. And it's one thing if you're critiquing Yachty about his own shit, but if you're just going on random rants and just using Yachty as a punching bag or a punchline, now, they're like, yo, you're targeting our guy. It's not like you have like a criticism about his song or like his album. You're just trying to say when we think about whack rapper, we think about Lil Yachty, and they had a lot of objection to that.
What was the point of you putting out your opinion about this person if all it was going to take was somebody to tell you to stop, then you were going to stop? Like, I think as a broadcaster, you have to really like stand on your shit and care about business, right? You have to be willing to have conversations that are not going to make you popular if you want to be a great broadcaster. And so I always, when I realized that was how that went down, I was a little bit troubled by that. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, somebody has a strongly worded conversation with them, or maybe like hints at the fact that they're going to beat the shit out of them, and that's enough to get you to stop talking about somebody. But now we're seeing that play out again with the Tasha K thing. And I feel for Tasha K because she fucking traveled all the way to Jersey to do this interview, spends hours of her time, probably spent thousands of dollars on travel and security and accommodations and all that kind of shit. And then you're just not going to put it out just because this is the thing. If he was actually worried about certain parts of the interview,
I agree with I definitely agree with Adam on this part, even though Joe my man too, but we all know Tasha K. If I invite Tasha K to do an interview, at worst I'll edit some parts out that I think is problematic, but I'm putting the whole interview out. I'm putting the interview out, even if it's edited. I'm putting it out. To interview her and not put it out, it makes you wonder just why. Why not even put out an edited piece? Like, okay, let's say she said some problematic things that maybe you feel left you open to a lawsuit. Why not edit it, right? It's your content. You could edit it any way you want, but why not put out some version of it? So I agree with Adam on that.
You getting him sued, you could remove those parts of the interview. Yeah, you could snip out. If she had said some crazy shit, if she had gone a little bit harder than she went in my podcast with her on certain topics, because it might offend.
By the way, I'm not even going to get into the other shit. What I've realized is, though, Adam and Joe are kind of going at it. I'm not sure if Joe would consider him going at it with Adam, but I think Adam feels a little slighted by Joe, and he's kind of taking it like, yo, you know what? He's taking that big 22 energy, that he was given to Community and Fig, or back on Fig, and he's kind of pushing it at Joe because I think he feels like Joe and them, have been treating him in a way that's unfair. And what I mean by that is, like, they've been trying to dunk on him, and maybe because he's white or kind of perceived a little bit to be maybe a cultural outsider, they kind of rag on him a lot more. And I think he's at the point where he's like, yo, fuck it. I'm gonna stand up to them. I think that's where all this comes from, because otherwise, I think he would have had like decent commentary on it, but like, he's calling out Joe a little bit aggressive here, if you ask me. And I think that's where it comes from. Anyway,